how to protect assets from Medicaid spend down. Oh, and one of the things that I think it's really important that everybody understand, whether you're viewing this live with me or later on our YouTube channel, is I am talking about Washington law. I am not talking about law in Oregon or Idaho or California or anywhere else in our country. Every state has different rules when it comes to Medicaid and Medicaid eligibility. Yes, Medicaid is a federal program, but every state takes and makes it their own. So please don't take what I am saying today and saying, well, I heard Lynn say this on how to protect assets from Medicaid spend down. It works in my state. What I'm talking about only works in your state if you are a resident of Washington. So first of all, what we're going to talk about is basics. How do you pay for long-term care? The majority of people pay for long-term care from their income and from their assets. I would say the overwhelming majority of people don't understand Medicaid and Medicaid's rules, and that Medicaid may well pay for your care. You could be eligible for Medicaid, but they have heard from friends and I'll get to this, from other sites, websites that say you have to be impoverished to qualify for Medicaid to pay for your long-term care. That's not necessarily the case, and we're going to get into those details. So the majority of people pay for long-term care privately, and that's why they're so concerned that they are going to go broke. Why is that? Because the cost of long-term care easily is $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 per month. And simply doing the math, you can see how it wouldn't take long before the money is gone. What other sources are there for paying for long-term care? Well, maybe you have private long-term care insurance. And if so, that is fantastic. What I tell clients that have it is keep it. When you get that renewal or something from the long-term care insurance company that says, hey, your premium's going up, why don't you go ahead and reduce the benefits? I say, not necessarily. You maybe want to keep those benefits as they are. Don't go for the reduced premium. Sometimes people have to because it's just financial, that they can't afford it. But if you have long-term care insurance, that's fantastic. Do keep it. If you don't have long-term care insurance, and if you are living here in Washington State and you are working, you just saw a tax that is a new tax on your paycheck. And that's because of the Washington CARES Act. We'll be talking about that. Washington really is in the vanguard of states with an insurance-based program to pay for long-term care. So think of it, you have Social Security, you have Medicare, you get those benefits when you reach a certain age or if you're disabled, because you paid into the system. It is really like an insurance-based program. Medicaid, which is what we're going to be talking about, on the other hand, is a needs-based program. So in order to qualify for Medicaid, you have to meet income and resource limits that we'll talk about. But the Washington CARES Act is an insurance-based program, meaning that your paycheck is being reduced by a certain amount because you are now paying into a brand new system that Washington State has to provide benefits for long-term care. And I have to say, I commend the state of Washington for taking on this difficult and absolutely necessary task of figuring out how we're going to take care of our people. Yes, it is a payroll tax. And yes, I totally understand that people feel like they're getting taxed and taxed and taxed, but there is a need, and Washington has taken on that challenge. Other ways to pay for long-term care, possibly veterans benefits, especially if the veteran has a service-connected disability, that could pay for the long-term care expense. We're not talking about that beyond what I just mentioned today. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that Medicare and the insurance-based program, like I mentioned, that it pays for long-term care. Medicare does not pay for your long-term care. It is a program to pay for your hospital, your doctor's bills, not your long-term care. And one of the reasons that people sometimes get confused about it is that maybe they went to the hospital because they broke their hip or had a stroke or something. And then after being in that hospital for that inpatient treatment for at least 3 midnights, they are released to a skilled rehab facility. And in that rehab facility, kind of feels like a long-term care facility, they are getting rehab to get better. So under the Medicare program, up to 100 days of rehab is covered, if not fully. Fully's for the first 20 days. Thereafter, it's partial, depending on your insurance supplement program to Medicare. The Medicare program does pay for that rehab. And so that kind of feels like long-term care. And so people are thinking, yeah, Medicare pays for long-term care, until they get a notice that Medicare is stopping because of failure to progress, or the 100 days has been reached. And now the person, rather than being able to go home, they are still too debilitated and won't be able to go home. So now they have to get long-term care. What does that look like? Well, long-term care is usually a different part, maybe of that same facility, and that Medicare doesn't pay for. That custodial long-term care is private pay. It's at skilled nursing. It is at least $11,000, $12,000, $14,000 a month. And that's when people start to get really freaked out, because they thought that their care was going to be paid for by Medicare, but instead now they have realized that out of pocket is over $10,000 a month. What are they supposed to do? It's at this point oftentimes that clients reach out to us. And what I want you to know is that at ELG Estate Planning, we are able to assist people at time of need, at crisis. It works a lot better if they have the right kind of estate planning documents in place when they come to us. But regardless, we are able to help people at time of need. And when I say help people at time of need, what am I talking about? Talking about Medicaid. How do we help people qualify for Medicaid? Because Medicaid is the government benefit program administered by the state that pays for long-term care.